That's all she really needed. And Blooper, a fine 2-year-old filly, goes home to win her 3rd race from 8 starts. Now let's try and pick up the 3rd placing. That's Frenzy Dancer down the outside in the green, and over near the inside, Whittier Lady. But I think you'll find Frenzy Dancer has run 3rd. The placings will be Blooper 1st, Lynn's Turn 2nd, Frenzy Dancer 3rd, and we'll be back shortly with more on the Wide World of Sports.
Caulfield Race 2, there you are. It's Bioper, $4.10 and $1.60. Lynn's Turn, $3.40, and Frenzy Dancer paid $2.70. But how did our guest tipsters go? Kenny Callender. Money. And sorry, Simon, just down the gurgler. The Wizard of Odds, Ken Callender, is on a mission today. Pay close attention as he delivers the good oil on Race 2 at Randwick.
Thanks very much, Kenny. Yep, well, Fatty and I showed him a trick or two for a change. Number 1 in Sydney is the favourite, Mona Lisa, paying $2.40, odds of approximately 11 to 8. Gom Jabba is a 9 to 1 chance. Provocative Lady, she'll run home strongly, is at 5 to 1. Bombshell at 6 to 1. Number 5, I've actually tipped Bombshell. I think she'll race just off the pace and hopefully go home strongly. I think that's good odds, actually, 6 to 1. Gilab is at 12 to 1, Right Rain 11 to 1, Soul Soon is a scratching. Now the next run is very interesting, Brazen Murray. She's had 2 recent trials, she's won them by 6 lengths and 8 lengths, and I reckon both times she's led by about 10 lengths on the home turn. She'll go very quickly, but whether she can hold on in the straight, well, that's another matter. The trials have only been 800 metres. And Origin is a 30 to 1 chance. They're the prices with about 14 minutes to go to post time. Now, Fatty, I reckon we've got to give that Simon a bit of help. We're a bit too good for him.
Too easy, this tipping winners, isn't it, Kenny? It's just too easy. And Simon, you are kidding. Where'd you run?
Mate, well, I ran 3rd here in Sydney last race, which I was quite happy about. You know that fat one that Kenny tipped us into? That ran well, mate. You stick with the fat ones, OK? You're a good tipster.
Well, what about this race, you buffhead?
Oh, we're going. Oh, look, I like number 2, Gom Jabba from Canberra. Frank Cleary's got it, and I think it'll run a real good race.
Well, Kenny, I'm tipping Bombshell on this, mainly because I just saw the trainer, Kim Moore, walk in front of me, and she is a bombshell. I'm on it. Back to you, son.
She is a bombshell too, Fatty, and the horse goes OK. I'm on it as well. You and I are going to clean up together. OK, let's double-check the totes. They haven't changed much. It's still 11 to 8, the favourite on the tote, number 1, Mona Lisa, and Bombshell's actually a slight firmer into 11 to 2, which is the horse Fatty and I are on. OK, we pick them up, they walk around the ring there. Number 9 is Origin, who you just saw. She's one of the roughies of the race, a 30 to 1 chance. Now that horse with the big white blaze that just went past number 8, she's the one I told you about, Brazen Murray, who's got loads of early speed. I reckon if you can find some mug who'll bet you that what'll lead into the straight, Brazen Murray would be the one to back with him. Right, I spot Anne-Marie over there with a very well-known trainer. Here she is.
I'm here with top trainer Lee Friedman, and of course you've got the Golden Slipper winner Dan Zero. You've got him in the Sires Produce. Will he back up again today?
Yeah, I think he will. He came through his slipper run really well, and I've been looking forward to getting the horse to 1,400 metres. He seems to be the sort of horse that'll really suit. So, yeah, I don't think it'll pose any problems for him.
Well, everybody's talking about how tough that slipper was. No ill effects on him at all?
Well, not really. It wasn't all that tough on him because he got a relatively trouble-free run. Had to tough it out at the finish, but I mean, fit horses come through that sort of thing really well, and I'm sure he hasn't taken any effect from that.
Now, it's been a wonderful autumn carnival for you. It would really make your day if you could take away another Group 1 race here today.
Yeah, it'd be good actually. Put a bit more pressure on Hazy. He sort of led me 3 into the carnival. He's only 1 up now. If I can square him today, that'll be really good.
Now, I see though you've taken off that Lucky Tie. This is a new Lucky Tie.
Yeah, this has got to be the new Lucky Tie because the old Lucky Tie's a bit shell-shocked after Saturday night. Needs a good trip to the cleaners. But anyway, I think this one will be lucky. OK, and you've also got, of course, Surface Paradise. How do you think he'll go today? He's a great old horse. He won the 91 Cox Plate. Yeah, he knocked me off in the Cox Plate, so he owes me a turn. I'm happy with the way he's progressed. He's a genuine weight for age horse, and there's every reason to expect that he would run very well in that race. Well, a lot of horses have dropped out of the all age, so the field's been reduced in terms of class. Yeah, but still, good race, and it'll be a really good contest, and I think, you know, he'll run well.
In the context of that, good luck for today.
Thanks, I'll go and put my teeth in.
Thanks, Lee.
Two Group 1 performers together, Anne-Marie Sparkman and Lee Friedman. And now we pick up this field, Gomjaba. First up is Gomjaba there, TAB number 2. I think that's the horse that Simon has decided to put his cash on.
Yeah.
Glenn Moss, the jockey. Shane, what do you think of this lot?
Well, Mona Lisa, I know she's got plenty of weight, Ken, but she is a proven performer, and she's going to get a very good run from the 2 barrier, and she is going to get a clear run, isn't she? Because with the Cutaway Rail and the other horse, as you were saying, Bronzen Murray, is it?
Brazen Murray.
Brazen Murray, haven't got a book on me. It has got a lot of pace, and it will lead.
Yeah, she jumps out of the barriers like one of those greyhounds that ping out of the 8 box. She really goes quick. I reckon she was a length in front after 2 hops the other day, and whether she can get down this testing Randwick Straight might rule her out.
This is a bit weaker race than the other day of Mona Lisa's too, you know, with Dr. Zachary and Marwina and those type of horses. So, you know, it's going to have a great chance. Also, Provocative Lady from the 5 barrier, and she should be running about 3 or 4 lengths off the pace. But it was interesting in the first race that the winner did come down the outside, Ken. And as you know, on Saturday, the leaders were winning, or horses racing on the fence. Maybe today might be different.
Yes, Shane, I think we all noted that, and particularly as they didn't go like that mad early. You can imagine them coming down the outside if they'd have gone helter-skelter, but perhaps it's even right across the track today.
Yeah, I'm walking around here now. It doesn't look too bad. The track is probably dead. There's a bit of sand on it, but it's got plenty of grass on the track. But a couple of more races will tell the story, Ken.
OK, Shane, well, there are your views on the second race. In centre screen now is Bombshell, carrying the hopes of Fatty and I. Let's take this break and go out on a good note on Bombshell. And there's the magnificent Randwick Racecourse as we look straight down the home straight, and I can tell you a few horses get a bit tired going down there. And there's the race where the horses come back to scale. Great atmosphere here at Randwick. If you haven't been here, you should try and get here someday. OK, number 1, Mona Lisa, is at 7-4. Number 2, Gomjaba is at 7-1. Provocative Lady, number 3, at 5-1. Now, Bombshell is a firmer on the tote, is into 9-2, almost into 4-1. Number 5, Gulab at 14-1. Number 6, Right Rain is at 12-1. Soul Scene is a scratching. Brazen Murray is into 5-1, and Origin into 25-1. The firmers, Bombshell into 4-1, and Mona Lisa is getting out a little bit, out and out at 2-1 as I speak. And a man to talk to me about the chances of these horses in the second race is Ronnie Duffy. Ron, I've backed Bombshell.
So have I. I've switched off the top weight, Ken, Mona Lisa. She out in the market. The bookies can't get her out quick enough in the market, and Bombshell's been the best back runner. She looked the best in the enclosure. She's still good value at that 4-1 on the tote. Other horses to look okay are the bottom 2. Actually, Brazen Murray's really come on since last preparation, and Origin. She's a very good long shot, this Rory's Jester filly. She's got no form at all, but she has won a barrier trial and in a good stable in the Mitchell stable, and does look well. So there's better. I've seen worse long shots than her.
OK, Ronnie, and I might mention a bit of news for later on in the program. Those of you thinking of backing St Covert, Shane Scriven was hoping to make the weight. Shane normally rides at about 57, St Covert with 55.5. He's been in the sauna here at Randwick, and he has told stewards he's unlikely to be able to make the weight. So if you're thinking of backing St Covert, there could be a late change of jockey. There's Bombshell in centre screen. Bombshell keeps firming on the tote into 3-1 now. Johnny Boy, one of our favourite riders, Mark de Montfort, I hope he gets home first here. I've backed Bombshell.
Good on you, Ken. Yeah, he's cool, calm and collected, Mark de Montfort. He's an unflappable character. I think he's one of the most underrated jockeys in Australia. Let me point something out about Mark de Montfort's riding style to you, if we can just find him here on Bombshell. Over behind the gates, carrying the number 4 saddle cloth, and he's in the cerise and lilac colours. He's right over at the back there at the moment. Mark de Montfort, in an era where jockeys ride at an amazingly short stirrup length, rides pretty much like the old timers. I've always, there he is there now. Now look at the length of Mark's stirrup leathers. I believe he rides about 4 or 5 holes longer than most of the other jockeys. Shane Dye, Grant Cooksley, and many of our leading riders ride much, much shorter than Mark de Montfort. You'd agree with that, Shane?
Yeah, definitely. There's no doubt about that. Just speaking with Mark, he gives this horse a big chance. He said it's going to get the run of the race, and it's not an overly strong 2-year-old race, and Bombshell does get her chance to win today, he thought.
Shane, who does ride the shortest of all the Sydney jockeys?
I'd probably say Gavin Duffy and myself.
Is that right?
There's probably not a lot between us. Gav rides short, and so do I. I think the shorter you ride, the more you get over their you know, up over their neck, and the more they go forward. But it's a matter of opinion, and it's how you feel comfortable.
The only risk, of course, Shane, riding that short is if something goes wrong, you haven't got much to hang on with, have you?
Well, John, if something goes wrong, no matter how long or short you ride, you haven't got much chance of staying on. But you saw Jimmy Cassidy, he rides very short, and he did a fantastic job on Saturday to stay on Star of Maple. Just looking at the 3-horse here, John, Provocative Lady, she's sweating up very, very badly.
Ah, that's my pick. Thanks, Shane.
Craig Carmody's on her, and she is sweating up. She's going to get a good run from a barrier 5, and I suppose she has a chance.
OK, talk to you later.
Thank you.
They're moving in. Now, they move up for race 2, and they make a good line. It's the Rex White handicap 2-year-old fillies, 1,000 metres, Right Rain. Appears to move up and stand well, waiting on Brazen Murray and Gom Jabber. Now, Gulab has come up into the stalls with Aragen. And it looks like Brazen Murray is going to be the last in. This filly has had only one previous start. Brazen Murray, back in the spring, when from all reports she was very shin sore and finished down the track. But since resuming, her barrier trial performances have been outstanding. And she won a trial at Warwick Farm the other day by something like 8.5 lengths. Brian Wood is her jockey. Brian's one of the battlers, rides a lot of work, goes anywhere to ride a winner. But he, of course, had a wonderful association with that great little sprinter Show County, which won $1 million. And pleasingly, Brian Wood was on board in most of those wins. Now, Brazen Murray is the last one to come in, and they're off and running. And look at him begin, Brazen Murray. He came out running and landed 1.5 lengths in front of Bombshell, and Right Rain is quickly away. Mona Lisa pushing up on the fence into a handy spot, followed by Gom Jabber. Just behind those, when they settle down, Provocative Lady, followed by Gulab, and Aragen is last. As they come to the 700 mark now, Brazen Murray scorching the grass is the leader. Mona Lisa second, Bombshell third, a neck away on the outside, Right Rain. 1.5 lengths to Provocative Lady, followed by Gom Jabber. 3 to Gulab and 2.5 to Aragen as they turn. Now this leader's wandered away from the fence, about 2.5 horses off the rail, straightening up. Brazen Murray, plenty of room on the inside for Mona Lisa. Bombshell is now putting in its dash on the outside, followed by Right Rain and Gom Jabber. But Bombshell about 6 or 7 off the fence, has raced up with Mona Lisa. Gom Jabber on the outside, running on strongly. Bombshell and Mona Lisa. Mona Lisa on the inside, fighting back. Bombshell is just the leader. Mona Lisa sticking on gamely. De Montfort getting desperate. Look at Aragen jumping out of the ground. Bombshell just in front. Aragen flew and beat it. Aragen has come from last and got up on the line to beat Bombshell, with Mona Lisa third, followed by Provocative Lady, and then Gulab. Gom Jabber weakened again in the last bit from Right Rain, and Brazen Murray is knocked up badly in the straight to finish last. Well, Aragen turned for home absolute last. Looked to be giving them an impossible start, and just sprouted wings in the last 70 or 80 metres to grab Bombshell in the last stride. But don't be surprised if the winning margin's a neck. Bombshell was stopping, as you can see. She's really shortening her action here, Bombshell, and this filly is finishing so fast. She draws level 1 stride from home, 1 stride late. Oh, it's not a neck, but it's probably a long head or half a neck. Came with a blinding finish. Aragen is going to pay $14 and $3.10. Bombshell is going to pay $1.50, and third, number 1, is Mona Lisa, $1.70. Listen, Jeffrey.
Thanks, John. OK, there we see in front Bombshell. Down the outside comes the roughie that Ron Duffy mentioned on Channel 9, Aragen. And you watch Aragen dive at her right on the line. I think Bombshell knew that Fatty and I had backed her, and she just didn't have that final surge. A bit like a few of the football teams that lead with 5 minutes to go. And Aragen, Larry Cassidy was too good for Bombshell, with Mona Lisa in third place. OK, time for a break, and then back with more on this fine day of racing at Royal Randwick.
Let's take a look at the dividends on Randwick Race 2, the Rex White Handicap. Aragen, a terrific burst of speed there, $14.60, $3.10. Bombshell at $1.50, and Mona Lisa paid $1.70. As for our tipsters, Kenny Calendar. Not exactly music to your ears, is it? It's a real punter's paradise today on Wide World of Sports. Ken Calendar has the latest totes on Race 2 at Caulfield.
Don't be too hard on us with those tips there, Kenny. Fatty and I did look home with Bombshell. Be a bit hard on Simon. OK, Cortuban is one of the world back runners at Caulfield. It's at 3-1. Few scratchings here. Happy about that as a scratching. Voluntary, I've decided to back Voluntary. A 9-4 chance. Hope it can win. Dahar's Legend is a scratching. 5-1 Gold Fever. Favourite on the tote is Cryptographic at 7-4. Best Endeavours at 12-1. Deadly Addiction at 7-1. And in the small field of 7 runners, Cheerful Player is the outsider at 33-1. Fatty, I reckon we should get some consolation for going so close there with Bombshell.
Well, Kenny, I was heading for the queue. It was that close. It was unbelievable. Funny, the pattern of racing today. On Saturday, they were all the leaders were winning, and today 2 horses have come from behind in the last 300 metres, so that's quite interesting to note for later races. What about Melbourne, Scoop?
Mine were behind and stayed behind, mate, so mine aren't coming from behind, but I think number 5 in Caulfield, Gold Fever. The only reason I'm going for it's trained by Jimmy Houlihan. He's Catholic, I'm Catholic. It's the best form I can give.
Fair enough reason. Craig Dinn, last Rota winner about 10 years ago too, so he's due for one. Cryptographic's the horse I've gone for, trained by the master, David Hayes. Peter Nucky now establishing himself in Melbourne, a former West Australian rider. I'm on that. Back to you, Kenny.
Thank you, Fatty. And science at work there with the boys, especially Simon, with the Catholics today. The Easter weekend marks round 4 of the 1994 Rugby League season. It's that stage of the year when the early sorting out process is over, and most clubs are striving desperately to keep up with the pace setters. Peter Sterling surveys the field.
Thanks, Ken. A glorious afternoon here at Belmore Oval for our final game in round 4 of the Winfield Cup, and a magnificent game to finish the round out. Canterbury up against Canberra, and it's also Multicultural Day here. And I'm with the Chief Executive of Canterbury, Peter Moore. Peter, your second Multicultural Day. You had one last year. It looks like being just as successful this afternoon.
Yeah, shaping up really good, Peter, on this lovely afternoon. God's been kind to us with the weather. And people who want to come down here this afternoon, they're certain to still be able to find good spaces to be able to see 3 good games of football, but also some wonderful entertainment, Pete.
Tell us about that entertainment. What attractions have you got planned?
Well, we've already had the Aboriginal tribal dances and boomerang throwing championships. We'll have groups from big dance groups, up to 150 in a group, from Greece, Lebanon, South Sea Islanders, Latin America, about half a dozen different countries. We'll have a multicultural...
Jamie Smith.
What's his name? The Russian boxer, Tazoo. Tazoo's going to be here, and he's going to draw a prize, which will be a trip home for 2 people to anywhere in the world.
Oh, beautiful.
And we'll have the Easter Bunny coming out of a parachute with 5,000 Easter eggs to distribute amongst the kids. So it's going to be a real special day for us, Pete.
With so many nationalities now playing rugby league, is this an untapped market, appealing to the public support of those nationalities?
Yeah, it is untapped, Peter, and probably it's to our detriment that it is untapped. Our crowds were dwindling since the middle 80s, even though we had good teams and we had a lot of success. The crowds are going down, and we just put it down. When I say we, probably I put it down to the fact that it is an ethnic area. But when we started marketing last year, my daughter came in to market the matches, and she said, "Dad, you've got to stop complaining about the ethnics. You've got to give the ethnics a reason to come to the football." And so she did the multicultural last year, put a lot of work into it. And the 2 matches, we got a combined attendance of over 50,000.
But you haven't confined it just to these multicultural days as well. You've had theme days. Is it now, when you're up against other entertainment, you've got to sell more than just 3 rugby league games?
You've got to convince Mum to come to the football, Pete. Mum's the key to all of it. And Mum's not going to come to the footy if you've just got 3 footy games on. If she can come to the footy at 11 o'clock and have a really good day right throughout the day with her family, you get the whole family to come along. And I think that's what we're aiming at. Totally is the family. It's the International Year of the Family, which is going to give us a boost this year. But I think that other sports do it well, basketball do it well, cater for the family, and I think we've got to do just that.
Well, on Easter Monday here, we look like having something like 25,000 people onto the football side of things. Have you been a little bit disappointed with the Canterbury performances the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, you have too, Pete, because you tipped against us today. And so did everybody else on the panel. We played well against Manly, very, very well. We played... After getting a 10-0 lead against Cronulla, we played poorly, and we probably were lucky to beat Souths, but we've got the side that can play the football. Chris is right on top of it. I think at this stage we're going to play well against the good sides and maybe struggle a little bit against the lesser sides, which has been the reverse of what we've done in the past.
Well, you've got one of the very good sides this afternoon. You would have to improve markedly to beat Canberra the way they're going.
Yeah, the way we went the last 2 weeks, we couldn't beat Canberra, but we've got a very good football team, and we'll lift our game enormous today, and I'm sorry for those 4 tipsters on Channel 9 because you're all going to be wrong.
Well, it's interesting to look through the side. You've got Matthew Ryan in the centres. He's only been at the club, or back at the club, for a couple of weeks. I know that you were negotiating with a couple of English players. You had Jonathan Davis here 2 years ago, Gary Connolly. They were both very successful. What is the situation there? How did that pan out?
Well, neither Jonathan nor Gary could come back, so we looked at David Watson, who you know is a very fine international from New Zealand, fullback and centre, and then his club wouldn't let him stay the full distance. We're starting to talk to Craig Innes, but then when Matthew rang up, Matthew was just appointed captain coach of Coffs Harbour, and he rang Chris to get a training schedule, and Chris casually said, would you ever like to come back to Sydney? And he said, I'd come back tomorrow, which he did.
Well, good luck this afternoon. As I say, another big crowd out here, so if you want to get out here, come out early to get the best vantage points. Good luck for the team and yourself for the rest of the season, Peter. And Kenny, of course, tonight, a full replay of this game at 8:30, and this really does promise to be one of the best games of the round. Always a great match between Canterbury and Canberra.
Good on you, Peter. Look forward to it. I hope you can get a bet on out there at Canterbury this afternoon. Don't forget that big match, Canterbury versus Canberra. It's a great clash and it should be an absolute winner. This is Wide World of Sports. We'll have more from Randwick on the other side of this break.
Girl, you got to run.
Okay, let's have one quick look at the totes again on race 3 at Caulfield. There's been a couple of significant changes. Remember, this is a 1.5 mile event over the Caulfield Cup course. Number 1, Cortuban, is at 4-1. Happy About That is a scratching. Voluntary out to 11-4 now. Dahar's Legend is a scratching. Gold Fever is at 5-1. Cryptographic hovering between 6-4 and 7-4. About $2.50 for $1 investment. It's a clear-cut favourite. Best Endeavours is at 15-1. Deadly Addiction at 10-1, and Cheerful Player at 40-1. With me now is one of Australia's leading trainers, David Hayes. Dave, first of all, you've got a runner in this Melbourne race.
Yes, I've got Cortuban, who's probably the likely leader, and Cryptographic, who's one of the favourites, so I'm hopeful.
Which way do you want us to go?
I'll go for Cryptographic, just.
Okay. Now, what about here at Randwick? St Covert, has it thrown you out at all? Shane Scriven hasn't been able to make the weight. We told the viewers earlier that might happen. And Wayne Harris, I understand, is a new jockey.
Yes, Wayne's a very good rider, and, you know, he's a noted front rider who's got a great record on 2-year-olds. He's won a Blue Dom for the stable, so I haven't got many worries with that.
Do you think St Covert will go to the front today?
Oh, I don't know if I can say that, but no, he'll race right on the pace. Yeah. If the pace is easy, he'll lead, and if something's going along in front, he'll follow it. I'd love to see him in front without working, and I think he'd win.
And what about the 1400? Do you hold any fears with that?
Not at all. I think in the slipper the other day it showed he's got a lot of fight. The 7 won't worry him. I thought Dan Zero, we got to him at the 200 as if he was going to beat him clearly. And on the post, I thought we were doing as well. You know, it was only that inch in it, and it was above the head. So I think that proved that he'll run the extra ground, especially if he can cruise early.
What about your other runners, David?
Well, Blevic's a very smart horse. You know, he's a Group 1 winner already. The form's fantastic. Razor's Edge came out. Who ran third to him, ran third in the slipper. So, you know, if they do go too fast in front, I'm sure he's a horse capable of causing an upset.
Blevic won the VRC size produce, of course, and I think only about 4 horses have done that in about the last 30 years. One in Flemington and one also at Randwick.
Yes, my dad had a horse, Desirable. She was pretty good. She started favourite in the slipper, but no, they haven't. But I think this year's size is one of the best in years, and really could, the winner of it could be rated the best 2-year-old in Australia. Whether, you know, I think Dan Zero, rightly so, is rated the best, but if St Covert can beat him today, or even Blevic, who hasn't met these horses, I think that'd nearly be rated the best 2-year-old.
So you're ready to take that crown back off Lee Friedman? He told us earlier he was out to beat you again.
Geez, I'd love to get it.
What about in the other races, Dave?
today I've only got a mare called Lovey. We're changing the riding tactics on her. We're telling everyone well and truly early, and we're hoping that ridden a bit quieter, she might be able to finish the race off. And in Melbourne, in the Victoria Handicap, I've got Carolingian, the favourite in that, so he'll be on the pace and be pretty hard to pick up.
OK, David, thank you very much. We'll pick up Melbourne pictures now and have a look at David's two runners, Cortuban and Cryptographic, in race 3 at Caulfield. They're starting to come into line. Remember, as I told you earlier, if you're not too au fait with the way racing works, before they jump, you'll see a flashing light over the centre of the barrier stalls. A red light or a ready orange light will come on, and that means they're just about all ready, and it's just a matter then of the starter pushing the electric button. Incidentally, if you're looking for David's two horses, Cortuban races in royal blue with white striped cap, blue and white striped cap. And the one he said he just prefers, Cryptographic, races in the Robert Sangster colours of green with royal blue sleeves and a white cap with green spots. You can see Cryptographic over there, second from the inside. Right, they're about to go. Here's our caller, Johnny Russell.
Already, away they go. Jumped away on a perfect line too. Voluntary jumped nicely with on the inside getting out smartly Cryptographic and Cheerful Player showing early pace, and so is Gull Fever, and in behind them dropping out there Deadly Addiction, and Best Endeavours has dropped out to last. Racing down the straight the first time, and Cortuban going fast has taken over and coming to the judges' box with a lap to go. It's Cortuban striding clear by a length and a half. Cryptographic already in the box seat. A neck away on the outside to Cheerful Player, a length and a half. Voluntary being followed by Gull Fever. Second last Deadly Addiction near the inside, and Best Endeavours bringing up the rear. Out of the straight, 2,000 metres to run, and the pace being set by Cortuban, a length and a half. Cheerful Player on the outside of the favourite Cryptographic. They were followed by Voluntary, in behind them Gull Fever, Deadly Addiction second last, and still last of all in Best Endeavours. They sweep along the side, 1,700 metres out, and Cortuban doing it nicely in the lead by a length and a half in advance of Cheerful Player. Cryptographic has dropped back to third, 1.5 away, then Voluntary, 2 lengths to Deadly Addiction on the inside of Gull Fever, and 2 lengths away at the back of the field is Best Endeavours. They're climbing the hill at the 1,400, little or no changer, and Cortuban the leader by 2 lengths to Cheerful Player on the outside of Cryptographic, who's enjoying the run of the race. A length and a half then Voluntary, being followed by Deadly Addiction, Gull Fever second last, and Best Endeavours still last of all. Up past the 1,200 metre mark, Cortuban 2 lengths ahead of Cheerful Player. A length away Cryptographic, being followed by Voluntary, is taking closer order as they race onto the railway side. 2.5 lengths to Gull Fever, followed by Deadly Addiction, getting back to second last, and 2.5 lengths away Best Endeavours. At the 900 metre mark, still Cortuban making play, a length and a half Cheerful Player. Voluntary on the outside of Cryptographic, still going nicely. In behind them Gull Fever, then Deadly Addiction, and Best Endeavours last of all, and being urged forward. Coming down the side now, they've got about 750 to run, and still it's Cortuban over a length. Cheerful Player is second, a half length to Voluntary. Ridden along next on the inside Cryptographic, and Gull Fever putting in the runners just behind them, followed by Best Endeavours, and Deadly Addiction is last of all as they come up towards the home turn. Voluntary in the centre making a claim. Voluntary's got his head in front there of Cortuban. Gull Fever on the outside, Cryptographic in behind them on the rails, and they're followed by Cheerful Player, who's dropped out of it as they straighten up where Voluntary's hit the front. In second place Cortuban, Gull Fever, and a good long gap then further back to Cryptographic, but Voluntary is the leader past the 200. He's nicely clear of Gull Fever down the outside. Then Cortuban followed by Best Endeavours. Voluntary going strongly in the final 100 metres, is safely holding Gull Fever at bay, and Voluntary will get the money. Voluntary wins it by a length to Gull Fever, 2 lengths away. Third is Best Endeavours, then Cortuban, followed by Cryptographic, disappointing third last with Deadly Addiction, and the last over the line is Cheerful Player.
OK, here's the replay, and David Hayes, who watched it with me, didn't enjoy the runs of his two horses, Cryptographic and Cortuban. As we pick them up, Voluntary, another one for me, God bless him, ridden by Patrick Payne. Voluntary shoots clear. Gold Fever, Simon's tip with Craig Din aboard. Looked just for one moment he might make a race of it, but I think his run ended, and as you can see, Voluntary's just gone on too well for Gold Fever, and that's Best Endeavours in the black and blue running on into third spot. That was Caulfield. We'll be back shortly with more from Royal Randwick on this racing day on the wide world of sports.
Let's check the dividends from Caulfield race number 3, the Christian Brothers Foundation handicap there. Number 3, Voluntary, paid $3.30 for a win, $1.80. Gold Fever, $3.10, and Best Endeavours, well, NTD on that. Okay, let's have a look at how our tipsters went. Kenny, in the money. Fatty, down the gurgler. Simon just needed a little more divine intervention there and he might have come up. Okay, now if our celebrity tipsters are lost for inspiration, they could do a lot worse than listen to Kenny Callender.
Thanks, Max. Modesty prevents me saying anything. Here we go.